Hello, my name is Doug, and I'm the president of the Secular Humanists of Western Lake Erie. And what I wanted to do is to let you know how to follow and track legislation here in the state of Ohio. This really only works for people that are in the state of Ohio. If you are in other states, your situation may be different on how to track. Basically, what we're doing is we're here on the Ohio Legislature page, and that is, if you see here, it says legislature.ohio.gov. And what it'll be is it'll say the Ohio Legislature, and it will say what General Assembly. We are currently, in the time that this is being recorded, in the 136th General Assembly that just started in January. The General Assemblies generally run for 2 years. And any bills that are introduced that are not passed by the end of those 2 years die and have to be reintroduced. And so there are quite a few bills on the docket right now. At the end of the last session, which was in December of 2024, they were up to the bills with numbers in the 600s. So there's a lot of bills that are introduced. So sometimes it can be hard to keep track. The Ohio Legislature has a tool that you can use to track legislation here in Ohio. And if you look on the homepage of the Ohio Legislature, up in the upper right, you'll see a box that says My Ohio Legislature. If you click on that, that'll bring you to a sign-in where you can create an account, and I already have an account set up, and it tracks legislation and committee activity. So even if there's not a bill that you are interested in that's being taken care of or being looked after or introduced that concerns you, you can also designate what committees you want to pay attention to. And I'll show you examples of what I have on mine. So we go ahead and sign in. And this is my dashboard. Your dashboard may be different. When you first set it up, it's blank. So you have to find legislation and then click on it to follow it. But here we have a lot of these are popping up because of the committees that I am following. And here's the House Committee. And they are having a meeting on March the 4th at 2:15 p.m. You can view the meeting notice and add it to your calendar so that you get reminded when it starts. But here are all the different bills that are currently, and it'll also tell you what the status is. This one here, House Bill 43, has been passed by the House. So normally, if it starts in a particular part of the legislature, then it moves to the next part after it passes. So if a bill starts in the Senate and it passes the Senate, then it moves over to the House where the House considers it, and vice versa. All right. So let's go to, so you have this, and this is your dashboard, and you want to find something that you're interested in. So you go up to legislation, search legislation. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure it says you can look back as far as 1997, 98 if you're looking for something, but we want the current one. You can enter keywords. Legislation type is House bill, Senate bill, resolution, concurrent resolution, joint resolution. If you're tracking legislation, you only need to be concerned with House bill, Senate, and a Senate bill. The resolutions aren't really laws, not all the time. And then you can also do primary sponsors. So if you know that there's a bill that, let's say, Teresa Gavarone is sponsoring, you can click on her name and all the bills that she is the primary sponsor will show up. Same with co-sponsor. If there's a Darnell Brewer who co-sponsored a bill that you know they co-sponsored a bill, then you can click on that. And they have all the names of the House members and the Senate members. There's more House numbers than that. You can also look at by committee and then by subject. And these are the subjects that they consider legislation on. All right. So I know that there is a particular bill. We'll go with the House bill. And so it lists all of them in numerical order. And let's say designate, let's see one that's been introduced. House Bill 5, enact the Repeat Offender Act. So you click on the bill number, and this is a normal page that it gives when you're tracking legislation. And what it will do is it'll show the pictures and the names of the sponsors, the primary sponsors. That's Representative Williams here in Northwest Ohio and Bernard Wills. Sometimes it's a Republican and a Democrat. Sometimes it's two Republicans that you usually can't tell just from that. What I can tell, though, a lot of times is where they have the co-sponsors, the certain number of co-sponsors, that it may or may not be a good bill. Like, for example, in the current legislature, Gary Click, Jennifer Gross, Kloppenstein, they are, Sarah Fowler, author, they are conservative Christian nationalists. So this may not be a good bill, just seeing offhand. And then when you do that, when you look at the bill, you have the summary, you have documents, you have the status, the votes, and the committee activity. And then you can see the status here. It's in the committee. When it's reported by the committee, then it gets moved to the full House to be voted on. If they pass it, then it gets introduced in the Senate. The Senate committee considers it, reports it, and if it goes to the full Senate, they vote on it. And then if both House and Senate pass it, then it gets sent to the governor. The other thing you can do here is it has a current version. There's also sometimes when it's moving through committee, it'll have an analysis available. So if you want the Cliff Notes version of the bill, you can look at the analysis. I don't think this has any analysis yet. No. Oh, it does. There is an analysis available. And if you click on that, it is a PDF file. And it just gives a summary of what the bill does. So you don't have to go through and read all of the documents. And then if you look at the text as introduced, usually it will tell you here what it does in a summary. It'll say a bill, and then it'll say amend, blah, 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 blah. And then it says create a repeat offender classification. And then when you scroll down, this is current law here. Anything that does not have any markings on it is current law. It's on the books. And what they'll do is they'll edit particular sections of the Ohio Revised Code. And so you scroll down until you find where the changes are. All right, so here's a marking. And if it is underlined, it is an addition. This is something that they're inserting into this bill, into this section of Ohio Revised Code. So they want to remove those words and insert these words. But that's how you read the bill. So once you determine that that's the bill that you're interested in, again, you can check the status. It'll say that the committee activity, this is where you can find testimony. For example, here, the first hearing, the downloads usually available is the introduction. So this would be from probably Representative Williams, and Representative Wills. They will speak in front of the committee and say, this is why we proposed this bill, blah, 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 blah. Usually it's very short. And then if it gets voted on in committee, it'll list the votes here. So let's say I want to track this bill. On all these House bills, you have a link. It will say, interested in this bill? Track it. And if you click on it, they add it to your My Legislature dashboard. And these are all the specific legislations that I am following right now. And here's House Bill 5 that was just added. And then you can edit the list where you can remove it. And I'm not interested in HB 5 personally. So then you can remove it, save, and it's not on there. So what happens is if there's any committee information or any meetings about a particular bill that you're tracking, you will get an email or a notice that it's going on. The other thing you could do is you can track committees. I only have one listed here. Well, I have several listed here. House Education Committee, Education, Higher Education, Local Government. And how you find that is you go up to, on the Ohio Legislature page, committees. Let's check House committees. And then you have a list of committees. We'll pick one. Did we already do government oversight? Probably not. So we click on that. And this is a committee page for the House. And this is pretty explanatory, self-explanatory. Is you have a list of members, the meetings, the bills that they're considering, video, and I'll get to that in a minute, and then a mailing list. For the House side, you can subscribe to a particular meeting, and then they will directly send you agendas and meeting notices. Also, when you see on here the chair, the vice chair, or the chair and the vice chair are listed first, and then the ranking member is the minority party's person on the committee. They are just slightly lower than a vice chair, but they still are, they represent the minority party, in this case, Democrats. And then usually you're going to have more people from the majority party on a committee than you will the minority party. And it usually works out to be the way that the majority numbers work in the House. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Democrats, and the rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Republicans. So you have 9-4. And this is the Government Oversight Committee, and there's just some real winners on here. Jennifer Gross, Angela King, Beth Lear. Oh, man. Jason Stevens used to be the House Speaker. And now this one where they don't have a picture, it means that they're new, that they just took office. So they haven't done any of that. All right. So then we go to the meetings. Oh, let me show you here. Go to the meetings, and this is I'll have the dates of the meeting and what bills are being talked about at that meeting. And you click on that, and then it'll have testimony. If there's any testimony given and for whatever particular bill, and these are introductory meetings, so there's a list. Now, a lot of times these bills that come into the committee, they won't go any farther than the committee. It'll say introduced in the committee, and then for 2 years, at the end of the year, it'll still say that. So again, and here are the bills that are being considered by this committee. And you can click on it and get details and follow those bills. And then video, they have a website called the Ohio Channel. And it's also available on some cable systems. And they will show live coverage of committee hearings, and it will be available on demand. So you can see that the Oversight Committee has a video from February 25th, so you can watch the whole thing. They ask you not to share that video without crediting them, but if you want to clip it and share it with your friends, you can do that. And again, here's the mailing list. And you'll receive meeting notices if you want to do that. But you can also go to my Ohio, well, this is the House Representatives page. So you go to your dashboard, track committees, and then it will say track committees with the list. If you edit the list, then you can pick which committees you want to track. All right, so here is the Education Committee on the Senate website. And this works out a little bit differently. One is there's less members of the committee because the Senate has less number of people. I think there's only, I'm not sure how many senators there are. There's less senators than House members, let's put it that way. But anyway, so that's reflected in the committee. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of the committee. Also, they don't use color codes for party, they use the letters. And again, you have a chair, a vice chair, and then the ranking member. And again, it's always going to be more of the majority party than the minority party. So in this case, there's more Republicans in the legislature. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Republicans, and there is only 2 Democrats. And what that means is that they can do whatever they, pretty much whatever they want. Anyway, but this committee layout, these committee layouts work the same way. You have meetings, and here are the scheduled meetings, and here are the bills that they're considering. They haven't had anything announced for March. Well, yeah, they haven't had anything for March yet. Then you have the legislation that's there, including, I'm very interested in this Enact a Historical Education Display Act. And of course, then you also have a link for the videos. And you can always go to the Ohio Channel website and you can get committee videos that are even farther back than that. So we'll go here to legislation. I am interested in SB 34. And it had its first hearing on February 11th. And I can download, which I've already done, is introduction. Search legislation, Senate bill. And it's far enough in the beginning that we can just go to it. We don't have to, but you can sort it and show bigger numbers, but it's always in alphabetical order. Here it is. It's been introduced. All right. So now we have a setup that was similar to what we saw with the House. In this one, it gives the title, the current version, where it stands, the subjects it's under, and the committees. And again, you can tell if the bill is a good bill or not by who co-sponsors it. And here we have Serino, Catrona, Huffman, Regener, and Tim Schaefer. All these guys are just conservative Christians. So, and that is pretty much what the bill is they want to get the 10 Commandments up, and they are trying to mask it by saying it's different educational displays like Magna Carta, Declaration of Independence. And so they're given a school, they're going to force schools to choose what to put up. So again, you have this interested in SB 34, track it. I'm already tracking it, so I'm not going to press on it. And then again, you have your summary, your documents. There's the analysis, the status, where it's at. It's just been referred to committee. Committee activity is the first hearing. Typically, a bill will get 3 hearings in a committee before they move it, either voted out or they don't consider it. It's not always a given that if it's had multiple hearings, it can usually be voted out of committee after the 3rd hearing, mostly, generally. It could even be voted out after a second hearing. It just depends on how many, because they typically have a proponent hearing where anybody who supports the bill can come in and talk about it or submit testimony. They'll have an opponent hearing. That's usually the next one. And then the third one, they'll have everybody else that has not reacted to the first two and interested parties. And usually how it works is interested party are people who aren't opposed to the bill, but want to see specific changes to it. All right. So let's say they want to put up the they like the bill of having the historical documents displayed in schools, but they want to add the charter to the United Federation of Planets. And so you'll have people testifying to that. And so that's how it generally works. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of explain the My Ohio Legislature tracking system. And this is all colored like the Senate side because that's where I'm at right now. It depends. But the information, though, covers both. It doesn't matter which side you log into. So, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me at any time, and I'm be more than happy to explain My Ohio Legislature. And again, your state may be different. If you're in a different state, you may have a different thing. I know there's individual groups that track legislation, but this kind of helps you keep eye on things. And then when you see something that's interesting or troubling, then maybe you'll know then to reach out to some group that might be that share your views on that particular legislation. And that way, then you're not, spinning your wheels on something that's not going to get passed. So thank you very much.